what? Just like help me out. What you're saying is that lampposts can't get drunk. Oh, right. Can they be a bit light-headed? No, right. So you are saying, as publisher, that you have never seen a lamppost that's been drunk. Well, I've had a few of them lean on me on the corner of the street. Okay. And pubs don't reek. Oh, right, okay. Right, fine. Well, very constructive, very helpful conversation. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you later. Thank you for calling. Bye-bye. Well, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else who's listening or watching, I get so confused. That was a mock-up of a conversation I had with a traditional publisher who commissioned me to write a book for them. When the book was completed, and like most writers, I've been given a free hand to create this tome of toxicity and terribleness as far as they were concerned. They expected a work of genius. I thought I'd given them a work of genius, but they didn't like it. And so what they did, they banned it. Well, they didn't ban it, but they refused to publish it. Now, these are the reasons and these are the things you've got to watch out for when you become a writer. A writerly type of person who, I'll say that again, okay. A writerly type of person who does the job to earn money. And I was earning money off this book. And in fact, I did very well out of it, even though they did ban it. They had a certain objection to it. But let's go right back to the beginning. In some time ago, I would say round about 2014, I was approached by a very well-known publishing house. I'm not going to tell you who it is for the sake of this. I'm not going to drag it all up. But basically, they came to me and said, would you like to write a book of ghost stories? The reason I was writing ghost stories is because I'd packed in newspapers and started to write for magazines. I'd also become a ghost hunter. I was one of the first ghost hunters. And my maxim as far as being a ghost hunter was concerned was, I am the skeptical occultist. If I can prove the existence of ghosts, then I can prove the existence of God. I never did. But this particular publishing house got to hear about my alacrity at writing about the supernatural. So they asked me to write a book on ghosts for them. Then they decided that that section of their publishing empire was full. So they'd have to hang on to me for a bit. And what they wanted to do was to get me to write something else. So they asked me to write a book. A little sort of travel book about, believe it or not, Stoke-on-Trent. Yeah. I was commissioned to write a travel book on Stoke-on-Trent. Lovely place. I love Stoke-on-Trent. I used to live just round the corner from it. Used to go there every few years. No, it is a charming place. It's got fabulous history. It's got some of the most wonderful buildings in the sort of Midlands, northwest of England sort of type of place. And its people are interesting. Oh, yes, they are. They're very interesting people. You ask anybody in Stoke-on-Trent for directions and you'll see just how interesting they are. Not one of them, not a man, a woman, a child or a dog can give you directions properly in Stoke-on-Trent. But they'll all try. They'll all say, oh, well, you go up there, look down there, like, you got, and then you turn left, I think. Then sometimes you have to turn right, I'm not really sure. But it's in that direction, so if you go down there, that was my Stoke-on-Trent accent, not very good, I know. Anyway, so that's it. So Stoke-on-Trent people are funny. Never ask them directions. So I started to research the 6 towns. Yes, ladies and gentlemen and everybody else, Stoke-on-Trent is made up of 6 separate towns. And Robbie Williams comes from there. And so does Slash. I think even him with that big lumps on his face. Oh, what's he called? Him. Him. Even he comes from, lots of people come from Stoke-on-Trent. It's full of people. And so I linked up with a photographer whose name I'm not going to mention for various reasons. One, that he doesn't know I'm doing this video, so he might not want mentioning it, so I won't mention him. The photographer, whose name's Ian Purcell, did these absolutely incredibly fabulous, beautiful, amazing photographs of the 6 towns. And I waxed lyrical for however many pages it was, saying how fabulous the town was and how I loved it. I'd first gone there with my grandmother when I was about 4 or 5. We used to get a bus from Manchester. It took about 7 weeks, and we used to go to a big open air swimming baths there, and it was really good place. Sometimes we'd have a trip around the town, but back then it was very dank and very dirty and very dark and a bit scary. It had all these strange towers and chimneys that were there through the pottery industry. It had strange names everywhere. It was called Stoke-on-Trent. It was called whatever the other places are called. Hanley. It was called all sorts of things. Hanley's a very strange place. It's got a bus station, you know. Yeah, that was it. It's very difficult to write a bus station. But there were really good, interesting stories, and I did them. My book was called Out of the Darkness. Now, I'm not a bad writer. Nobody can say that. I've done it for decades, and I've made quite a good living out of it. And so there wasn't anything wrong with the book, but this is what happened, and this is the truth. I submitted the book with its layout, with its pictures, with every little bit of thing that you have to give to your publisher. I've got a whole advertising campaign worked out for it. A promotional tour was on in the offing around Stoke-on-Trent. We got a news story about the fact that Stoke-on-Trent Council wouldn't give us any of their archive pictures. Now we can't give you archive pictures, you see, because, well, you'd have to pay for them, you see, because there are pictures. So, well, yes, I am publicising your town. I am publicising the beauty and the excitement and the touristic values of your town and the moorlands and Staffordshire and everything. We're going to bring hundreds and hundreds of millions of people into Stoke-on-Trent here. Well, you still have to pay for pictures, you see. Thank you very much. So it was me and Ian Purcell, who shall remain nameless. We went ahead with this book and we delivered it on time, in pristine condition, everything ready for publication. And then I got the phone call. Yes. On this phone. Believe it or not, it was on this phone. Because this is a Nokia. It actually is a Nokia. It's beautiful. I love it. And it was my editor at this publishing house, and she said to me, "I'm so sorry, Leigh, we can't use your book." I said, "Oh, why not?" She said, "Well, it needs a lot of alterations. It's not exactly what we were expecting." I said, "Well, I've been around a bit. I can edit it and do what you need. What's wrong?" She said, "Well, the problem we have is that you say the lampposts round the big island at the entrance to Stoke-on-Trent are drunk. Are drunk. You can't say a lamppost drunk." I said, "What? I don't say the lampposts are drunk. I don't think lampposts really drink. What I do say is that they lean drunkenly, like that. Because they do. That's what they do. On this big island, there's about 20 big, tall, probably 30 feet high street lights, and they're all leaning like that. Like that. And that to me looks a bit drunk. Like that. So I wrote, they leaned drunkenly. He said, "Oh, well, yes, but the editor's not very pleased with it. He thinks this is true. I'm not making this up." She said, "We think you might upset the council over their lamppost." I used to work for national newspapers. We didn't worry about upsetting the council. And what would the council do? The council going to sue you because you said their lampposts were drunk? "No, I think not." She said, "Well, it's not only that, you see. It's because you actually say that the street corners in Stoke-on-Trent reek. You say they reek." That's what... I don't actually say the corners reek, like corners do sometimes, because of... I say that they reek of pubs. Now, in a way, that's a compliment, because that means that Stoke-on-Trent has this fabulous history of public houses and of beer and of entertainment and joy. She said, no, I'm sorry. You can't say the street corners of Stoke-on-Trent reek of pubs. Oh, anything else? She says, yes, there are all sorts of things like that we're not able to do. Wait a minute, just let me go away for 1 second. I've got to have a look on my computer, right? I won't be a second. I'll be back. Now this is another thing that I said, I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I said in this book, Stoke was becoming a slum, while the Victorian super-rich lived in imposing, elevated red brick mansions. They were closer to God up there. Didn't like that. Why didn't they like that? What's wrong with that? Stoke-on-Trent was a slum in the Victorian era. Anybody who knows Stoke-on-Trent, it's nearly a slum now. It's hardly any better now. And all the rich people did live in red brick buildings. And they did think it got them closer to God. I'm just reading it now. It's just ridiculous. Very funny. So anyway, I'm not reading any more of that. Here's the introductory paragraph to this book. Thomas Doody is said to still walk the hills of the long black veil, a ghost wandering in the raging fires and billowing smoke of Stoke-on-Trent's history. And there is no doubt Doody was the man who cast the die for the city's first claim to fame, crocks and pots. So, they banned me book. They wouldn't publish it. Now, I found out, because I am a journalist, and journalists do investigate things, so I did a little bit of investigating. I found out what had actually happened. They'd made a bit of a mistake. that section that book was supposed to go in didn't exist anymore. So they commissioned a book about Stoke-on-Trent and they haven't got anywhere to publish it. So now if you go on the internet, you will find Leigh G. Banks, Out of the Darkness. It's everywhere. It's on Amazon, it's in W.H. Smith, it's on, if they still exist. It's everywhere. It's all over the internet, this fabulous book that never got published, but they're still advertising. Now, the funny thing is, this book, because it was a holding book, and I never got to write my ghost book for him, because then when I told them what I thought, they fell out with me. But it was supposed to be the holding book for my ghost book. That never got published. Well, never got written. So, yeah, they had to pay me a certain amount of money for, because things had gone wrong. Now, I might have made a few £100 out of that book, you know, Out of the Darkness. I made loads because I've done readings from it, I've done everything from it. It's just gone wonderfully. So there you have it. Traditional publishing today is a very hairy business indeed. And you have to be very careful. But if you know what you're doing, you can make loads of money. That's it, I think. There was something else I was going to tell you. Oh yeah, I need pictures for this book. So if there's anybody watching this who's in Stoke-on-Trent, we're thinking of now making a bit more out of it by turning it into my very first, or possibly my second, ebook. It depends if the ghost book gets there first or this one does. So if you want your pictures in there, have a bit of a share on the earnings of it, and a byline, and a bit of glory, and a bit of fame, get in touch with me. My youngest daughter, Jessica, is considering doing these pictures because she's quite a good artist as well as being a writer. However, you know how children are. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.